sound of where you've been and who you are. And SiriusXM has channels for every era of classic country. New millennium hits are on Y2 Country, channel 57. The 80s and 90s play all day, every day on Prime Country, channel 58. And Willie's Roadhouse, channel 61 is honky tonk heaven. On the road again. Classic country curated by the legend Willie Nelson. To hear these channels, activate your subscription now by calling 844-711-8800 or head to SiriusXM.com to sign up quickly.
Amazing moments happen so much at SiriusXM. We want you to see them. SiriusXM Video lets you watch your favorite SiriusXM shows on the SiriusXM app. Groundbreaking interviews, amazing in-show moments, behind-the-scenes footage, live performances, all come to life in a way you only imagined before. Plus, you can create your own personalized Pandora station based on the artists you love. And hear over 100 extra channels filled with ad-free music for every mood or occasion. Get your first 6 months of our Platinum plan for only $8.33 per month, plus fees and taxes. Just call 844-711-8800 to take advantage of this amazing offer.
By listening to the experts on Fantasy Sports Radio.
I want to thank you guys for making me a better fantasy player.
Hear player rankings, position breakdowns, and expert drafts.
There is no bigger value today than Dak Prescott.
Going deep down the right side, got a man, it's caught. Touchdown Cowboys.
The road to a fantasy football championship begins with Fantasy Sports Radio. Channel 87 in the car and on the all-new SiriusXM app.
To hear SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio, activate your subscription now by calling 844-711-8800 or head over to SiriusXM.com to sign up quickly.
There you go now.
I think I'm recording.
Oh, let's see. You gotta get
If you've been thinking about buying a home, you need to be in the zone, the home buying zone. You need a game plan to win in this great real estate market. The Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage has all your bases covered. Whether you're a first-time home buyer, purchasing your dream home, refinancing, consolidating debt, or even considering a reverse mortgage, contact the Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage today. They have the lowest closing costs and they'll close your loan on time, guaranteed, or they'll pay your first mortgage payment. And they even have a 3.5% purchase down payment grant that can get you into a home with little money out of your pocket. It doesn't get more clutch than that, folks. Score big on the biggest purchase of your life. Call Equity Zone Mortgage today at 1-800-772-8624. That's 1-800-772-8624. Or apply online at EquityZoneMortgage.com and tell them Big C sent you as heard on the Big C Sports Podcast.
Rondo Deportes, Bonjour, Vidi Vidi Vici. Let's get ready to rumble. Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton of Big C Sports. This is Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to me and people who love the universe. And that would include you. What a beautiful day in the neighborhood. A beautiful day in the neighborhood. Won't you be my neighbor? Shut up! Fool, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. Well, I told you they voted me neighborhood walks person, and that means I try to bring everybody together at 3 o'clock in the morning, and some people don't appreciate it that they told me 3 o'clock Hawaii time, if that makes sense here. I want to say what a beautiful Tuesday, July 30, 2024. Today's show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard in the world. When you go by and test drive yours, tell them sit you where the good Lord split you. And hopefully the good Lord split you very nice so you don't have to expand that belt buckle, if that makes sense to you. I want to say what a great day in the world of Big C Sports Podcast. I think I'm one of the only sports shows in the universe that always champions. Not only reparations, I do sports, and I pay homage to our military veterans. I got a special guest coming on today, and I want to get to that in just a moment. But I'm also doing some great work for our seniors and our veterans from sea to shining sea. I'm one beautiful, intelligent black man speaking all over the universe. I want to tell you, I produce the show. I direct the topics. I broadcast all the shows. I do all the sound effects based on the platform provided by the agency. We could all use more laughter in our lives. I love bringing you laughter. I love telling you that commercials are done. The stats are provided. I even do the storytelling. And then I do the play-by-play. Steph Curry for 3. Yes! Get the hole in your life. Got Team USA flexing that muscle at the Olympics in Paris, France. All's fair in love and war. You know, I heard they had to close down a race today on the Seine River because there was too much sin in that river, if that makes sense to you. I'm just being flippant, but they got to get that cleaned up, if that makes sense to you. And then the show's uploaded to 29 podcast applications out of New York City and streaming on 4 TV platforms: Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, and a lot of smart TVs all over the universe. But you better have a smart TV, or you might be sitting there looking at the still picture. I love doing the sports show with BC Sports Podcast. It's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I gotta tell you, I also say I love the fact that I never missed a day with Big C Sports Podcast through joy, pain, sunshine, and rain, and I'm really excited about that. I do want to say at the same time, I want to make sure I pay homage to our veterans, our military veterans. It's oftentimes people say thank you for your service, and they really do appreciate your service. But what do you do when people are going through issues and they need someone to call? The Veterans Crisis Hotline is right there for them because a mind is a terrible thing to waste. Write this number down. They really are experienced helping veterans and their loved ones get help. 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. Or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net. And when you do, you want to give it some praise because we all need somebody to lean on. And it's nice when somebody's leaning back in the Veterans Crisis Hotline. They do a great job of leaning on people and letting people lean back. I want to say at the same time, thank you to Xfinity, Comcast TV, and Comcast Spotlight Effect TV for presenting Big C Sports to the universe. Just like in Genesis 1:3, but God said, reparations now, reparations forever. And I'm telling you, and some of my pastor friends, they don't like that. They say, Big C, can you tell me where it says that in the Bible? And I said, it's the book of James, chapter 4, verse 2. He said, you have not because you ask not. But let there be light. It's important. You got to shine light on the subject. And I say we want the Just Act for descendants of child slavery. The Just Act. What do we want? The Just Act. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? The Just Act. When do we want it? Now. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I got to tell you, I would be remiss if I did not tell you, I'm working on an infomercial for Big C Sports Podcast because a mind is a terrible thing to waste. You got to pay attention because we may have a quiz. A quiz? Yeah, we may have a quiz when I'm done. But faith comes by hearing, and this is my commercial. A guide to protect, preserve, and transfer wealth, Resource Development Consulting, Inc., in conjunction with the law office of Scott Thibodeau and the law office of attorney George Jones. The Missing Link, long-term care, solutions by the book, over 3 decades of experience, helping seniors get their benefits. In California, it's called Medicare and You, and Taking Care of Tomorrow. In California, also called Medi-Cal. Other places around the country, it's called Medicaid. That's important that you got to know those things. You got to know it. You got to know it. Your family and spouse can avoid the spend down for nursing home costs, and you got to find out your options. Call 800-772-8624. 800-772-8624. That's 800-772-8624. And when you do, tell them Big C sent you. Our promise to you, we specialize to navigate and maximize long-term care benefits, protection of your assets without the spend down in California. All paperwork and communication with all government agencies are handled by our staff of entitlement specialists. Ongoing consulting to provide updates as necessary. Benefits covering skilled nursing facilities, prescription medication, medical equipment costs, and more. Have you ever known anyone to deal with skilled nursing facilities? Have you ever known anyone to deal with medical prescriptions like the ones you took this morning? Have you ever known anyone to deal with medical equipment costs and more? Not only that, protection of your assets, including your home, thereby allowing you to leave a legacy for your family. Are you talking about Aflac, Big C? No, Aflac's the duck. That's gap insurance. They give you some money if you get hurt but they don't protect your assets. You got to have a trust. I believe in Star Trek and also the Empire, called Star Wars. The USS Starship Enterprise on a 5-year mission to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilization, and to boldly go where no man or woman had gone before. In lightning strike. You know, one time they came out of warp speed and they saw this big shining black planet. It was a peculiar planet, and Captain Kirk said, "Wow, that's a peculiar looking planet. It's blinking." And Scotty said, "Yeah, I've never seen anything quite like it, Captain." And Spock said, "It is kind of peculiar. I want to give it the Vulcan Mind Meld." Vulcan Mind Meld? Yeah, he wanted to give the planet the Vulcan Mind Meld. And so Captain Kirk said, "You know what, Scotty? Why don't you raise the shields?" And Scotty said, "Why? It's just a shiny black planet." And Spock said, "Yeah, I can't give it the Vulcan Mind Meld if you raise the shields." And Captain Kirk said, "Scotty, Spock, are you out of your Vulcan mind? Raise the shields!" And then just as they did that, you heard a voice come over the command. "Hello, this is Starfleet Command. The Empire strikes back. I am Darth Vader, and the Empire has given me explicit orders. Did not raise your shields. That is an order from Starfleet Command." And Captain Kirk said, "Scotty, I don't trust him. Raise the shields." And then Scotty said, "But Captain, he said Starfleet Command told him not to do it." And Captain Kirk said to Scotty, he said, "Scotty, out of your Vulcan mind. Raise the shields." And just as he said that, Spock said, "Scotty, maybe we should do it," Captain Kirk says, "because it looks like a laser beam's coming out of that planet." Laser beam. Raise the shields out of your Vulcan mind. You gotta raise the shield. You gotta trust your instinct. Captain Kirk trusted his instinct, and just as Darth Vader was about to fire the shields on the USS Starship Enterprise, they got in the light speed straight ahead. They got in the warp speed, and they got away. They saved the day. You know why? Because they used the trust. He trusted his instinct, and he raised the shields. You gotta have a trust. If you're a business person and you don't have a trust, it's like the Enterprise without shields. You gotta raise your shields. You gotta have a trust. Avoid the nightmare of debt brought by the government's estate recovery program called probate. The government would take about 10 to 40% of your assets if you don't have a will and a trust. A one-time processing fee versus monthly insurance premiums for the rest of your life. But not only that, I'm not done yet. Watch to have asset protection, insurance coverage required by law, general liability, workers' compensation, lawyers specializing in living trust, Medicaid or Medi-Cal planning for long-term care. You can avoid probate. Your life insurance plans, veterans benefits. We have aid and attendance. Every veteran knows that. Pre-planning and avoid the look-back period. It protects your fixed assets if you ever get sued. Your bank account, your checking account, your savings account, your money market account, your certificates of deposit, life insurance with cash values, your fixed index annuities. And it also protects your variable assets, real estate, qualified money, IRA, 401k, and other investments. You can avoid capital gains. Let's say you buy a house for $100,000. And then a year later, that house is worth $1 million. According to some real estate brokers, they'll say that to make the sale. Well, that's a $900,000 capital gain. You avoid the capital gains with a trust. Attention business owners. I said attention business owners. Attention business owners. Over 3 decades of experience, you got to find out your other options to protect what your insurance does not cover. 800-772-8624. That's 800-772-8624. And when you do, you want to give that some praise. Now, I'm telling you, there's a lot of people who offer estate planning and asset protection. But the Big C team at RDC were the only ones that will give you a reference. And some people don't give you a reference because they don't have them. But we do. We have. You got to pay attention to what I'm telling you. We were endorsed by the late James Gomez, who advised 4 California governors in California and led change in California's nursing homes. He served on Golden One's board of directors. He also, you got to pay attention to this, the California Association of Health Facilities. He was a CEO for 21 years. He endorsed the RDC team. Also, the late Robert Carlson. He was a top legal counsel for CalPERS in the state of California. He endorsed the RDC team. But not only that, we have Mr. George Jones, attorney at law, chairman of the California Black Chamber of Commerce, also California Black Chamber of Commerce Foundation. He endorsed the RDC team. Not only that, Mr. Leon Woods, resource development consultant, works with many of the top lobbyists in California. But not only that, we have Miss Cheryl Brown. She's the chair of the California Commission on Aging. She endorses the RDC team. But not only that, we have Ray De La Cruz. He's the CEO of RDC, been doing this thing for over 34 years. But not only that, we have Mr. Alex De La Cruz. He's the founder of American Veterans Benefits. He endorses the RDC team. But not only that, we have Charlton Curry, the co-chair of the National Black Wall Street Project, also owner of Big C Sports Podcast, and also consultant with the RDC team. I endorse the RDC team, but not only that, we have Double O, the PAC committee for the National Black Wall Street Project. She also a consultant with the RDC team and has her own economics awareness talk show called Let's Eat. You can Google it on Access Sacramento. She endorses the RDC team, and you can too. I say give it some praise. I say give it praise, praise, praise. If you have any questions, call 800-772-8624. 800-772-8624. That's 800-772-8624. And when you do, you want to tell them that Big C sent you. Well, that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I'm going to have a special guest today on the Big C Sports Podcast. His name is Kevin Humes. He's a military veteran, has a lot of love for this country, but he also has a lot of great things to talk about too. I'm going to bring him on to talk about things on Big C Sports Podcast for this great, beautiful day from sea to shining sea. I'll be back in just a moment. All right, we are back from the Big C Pause, also known as the Big C Timeout. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on 29 podcast applications all across the universe and streaming on 4 TV platforms: Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon Fire TV. I tell you, I love doing Big C Sports Podcast. We talk about so many great things. I just did the promo for RDC. We help people get their long-term care benefits, and we do asset protection. And then, as you know, I give out the Veterans Crisis Hotline because veterans need help. But there's also another side of the story. I have a special guest on by the name of Mr. Kevin Humes. He's a military veteran, decorated, knows a lot about everything. He also has this vision of television for military veterans, boxing, sports, entertainment, multimedia, housing. There's a lot of things in his mind, and I'm glad to have him on the Big C Sports Podcast today. Mr. Kevin Humes, how you doing today, sir?
Big C, wonderful, wonderful.
Well,
you know, what a tremendous intro.
Well, you know, it's just coming from the heart, and I do appreciate you coming on. And people may not know this. I only talked to you about 30 minutes ago. We didn't rehearse anything we're going to talk about. I just speak from the heart. It's like, you know, growing up and grandma cooked those collard greens and you didn't have to have an invitation. You know how sometimes you just show up at the house?
Hey, Big C, we're operating off the fly.
Hey, great grandma, no.
Hey, Big C, that's what's required to get our country and our veterans in the right direction.
Exactly. Great grandma and grandma.
Grandma's collard greens?
You needed no invitation. I don't even need a plate. I'll eat it with my hands. That makes sense to you.
Man, and don't think about no hot water cornbread.
Oh, see, you need to stop now. You know about hot water cornbread?
You playing, man.
Oh, my goodness.
Big C, thank you for inviting me to your platform.
Well, I appreciate you. And save me a slice of that hot water cornbread. Not many people know about that. But I want to get into some things as we pay homage to our ancestry. Talk about this thing. You know, I do a sports show, but I'm very political. I talk about things that are important, from reparations, health care, long-term care benefits, asset protection. But you do something unique. You talk about, like the Invictus Games, veterans television for military veterans. Talk about that in the sports angle, your thoughts.
Yes. Big C, what we did, I was in conversation with an associate of Kathy Hughes from Radio Television One.
Yes.
And she put me in the mindset of demographics and purchasing power.
Yes.
For a particular demographic. So she challenged me to look at the military veterans community and the numbers behind that and the family members associated with that.
Yes.
And an incredible number, first of all. Political, capital formation, veteran-centric, or commercial involvement to tap into that market.
Yes.
So we did that. And we came up, and then we were blessed that to bring the faith base into the equation.
Yes.
The numbers I'm talking numbers and demographics will drive the train.
Yes.
In the media television industry. My background capturing the veterans on film, veterans in the sports, and to have a 2,000 acres in Tunica, Mississippi, to be able to occupy that. That's power.
Yeah.
I've done it. We've done the numbers.
Yes.
We've done the demographics. We've done the purchasing power. We've got a brick and mortar facility right now. And we got a tremendous amount of individuals understanding this military veterans in sports is big.
Huge.
It's been overlooked. Big C, you call me.
Yes.
And I'm ready to go with your audience to make this thing happen.
Well, Kevin, we are already making it happen. This is not orchestrated. It's like planned by something greater than ourselves. I've been doing a lot of chanting and praying, and things have been popping into my mind. And I was thinking about you. I said I want to get Kevin on the program, and I just called you, and you answered the phone, and we're talking right now. But do yourself a favor, because I can't. You don't go to great grandma's house and put your hand on another man's plate. Does that make sense to you?
No.
So I'll eat my own ribs, okay?
Hey, Big C, let me get your audience with this.
Yes.
In terms of dealing with politics.
Yes.
And dealing with government policy.
Yes.
And dealing with, we like to call it pre-legislation. Because whatever proposal that you operate, you have to have a legislative proposal that can substantiate that.
Exactly.
Because government represents legislation.
Yes.
Business represents business, and financial people represents what? Return on the investment.
Exactly.
So if you can check that algorithm with the executive orders. And the compliance.
Yes.
With diversity. Somebody got to think this thing through, and it's got to be built into some type of software that can speak and manage everybody's thought process.
Very well
said. Making any kind of sense to you.
Making a lot of sense. Making a lot of sense, Kevin.
So we have to go that way, and we have to. On the behalf of the military veterans, I was involved with a gentleman. I can't speak his name, but I can say Bob, who was the president CEO for Calvin Klein,
yes.
A veteran.
Yes.
And he allowed me to enter his space, and we did a reverse merger. Veterans on Wall Street. All this is relative, to where we have to position ourselves to sustain the community. President Kennedy told us what? It's not what you can, but what you can, right?
Yeah, what you can, yep. So
it's the mindset right now. Where do we have to be in this time and space to execute something that can take the load off of 34 trillion in deficit?
Yeah.
And Fort Knox only having 290 million in gold.
Yes.
The numbers. So the media, Big C, and what you're doing?
Yes.
And pollinating collectivity?
Yes.
Sustainably makes sense.
Well, I think you make sense, Kevin.
I'm blessed to have you on your show.
Well, I appreciate you too. And just like you don't go to great grandma's house and eat somebody's plate of collard greens right in front of them, or the ribs, or the hot water cornbread, but I want to make sure that you chew on your own food. Take a minute to just talk about your background, because people might say, well, who is Kevin Humes? And I'm doing this out of ultimate respect. I want you to speak about a minute or two, or however long it takes, but we only have an hour show. Edify yourself. Tell the people about your background and why they should listen to you, and why Big C Sports call you. Your thoughts.
If you look at the Congressional Library of Congress for Veterans Business in D.C. and Google Kevin Humes, you'll see what congressionally they have positioned me to do for the military veterans community. And that's a big piece.
Yes. Yep. That's powerful. And so... Go right ahead, sir. Go right ahead, please.
No, that piece right there for anybody that really want to do some due diligence, because I can't give myself justice, nor can I give the veterans that I represent justice in a short period to explain what we're doing to create a sustainable model that's not predicated on government intervention, a GPO, if you will, a group person, a government, a non-governmental organization that's connected with sustainability for our country. Our focus and our goals, Kevin, I take the reflection off of me, or the deflection on me, and put it on my veterans.
Yes.
Because I was able to go through, but we had to find a sustainable mode of resilience that can really create something that we're not predicated. We're not waiting on government dollars to include grants. It's got to be sustainable, and it's got to be market driven.
Yep, you're right.
How do we take the entertainment and the media and the marketing, where we alluded about the demographics and the purchasing power, to use that to our advantage? How do we do that and identify the service members and the veterans that are actively served, that incredibly, that in terms of sports and sports management, and having a complete city called Tunica with 2 hotels already ready with 2,000 acres, with a golf course, with 200 slots for R&B ready to go for us to support our veterans. This is like an Olympic.
Like the Olympics down in Tunica, Mississippi. 100%
Tunica.
Right. Yep.
If you like gambling, you got Florida casinos, and then you got Biloxi.
Yep.
Wow. And then our 501c3 organization is called Mississippi Veterans.
Yes.
Mississippi Rural Veterans of America. If you put that with a 501c3, a 50316 that have gaming in place,
yes,
we hit the payload. Now, how do we put this together, Big C? Wow. As you can tell, I'm passionate about what I do.
No, I love Kevin Hume. I love
what I'm doing.
I love that you're passionate about it, because passion makes things happen. And like they say, faith moves mountains, but passion can make things happen. It's like great grandma's collard greens. How do we know she's cooking them? She didn't have to call us. We got that sixth sense. You just show up.
Big C, what they say she put her foot in it.
I don't know about you, Kevin, but one time my brothers and I, we got up early in the morning, and great grandma was in the kitchen. It was smelling so good. We snuck in the kitchen to see what she was doing. She was standing with her foot in the collard greens. Your thoughts?
I can believe that.
Yeah, she was stepping on, we thought she was crushing some grapes, but she was crushing those collard greens, and they sure taste good. But I do want to say, you are making me hungry. But I want to get back to this thing, and again, I thank God for everything. I don't want to be waiting for anyone to do anything for me that God can't do for me. God is my source, my boss, my provider. I'm not waiting on any man or woman to do anything for me, even though we work with people, okay? But I want to take this back to what the Invictus Games. People hear about the Invictus Games, and Prince Harry put that together. But you talk about veterans, but there's boxing, there's sports and entertainment, multimedia, housing. And I believe my group is going to help you with the housing part, with the financing part of that. I want to be one of those pieces of the puzzle that you're using to put together. But talk about the boxing, the sports, entertainment, multimedia. Go into that if you can, please, Kevin. Your thoughts?
Yes. You know what? When I first arrived here in Miami 26 years ago, I had the opportunity to connect with Lillian Reynolds. She was a producer, animator, beyond everyone, at Greenwich Film Studios. Greenwich was the studio that designed True Lies, All About Mary.
Yeah.
Miami Vice, Flipper, General Ben. So I came here to do a project in the Bahamas, but I got connected into the film and media industry with this lady.
Yeah.
Who father owned Mattel Toys.
Wow. So
you see how the media came into the, for instance, in terms of how do we execute this. But then we connected to this concept called Ship to Shore.
Yes.
military veterans serving different locations with these skills. So that fast tracked us to where we are now is how do we manage that?
Yes.
That incredible energy. And how do we put animation and media to that? We have a project, I think that I sent it to you, is called Sports Kids.
Yes.
Sports Kids.
Yeah.
Now, how we factor the multimedia where the kids understand it, where the military veterans that and a very powerful community, and how we put this all into something that makes sense based on we have the numbers of the military veterans, the demographics, and the purchasing power, and the faith base is connected to that.
Yeah.
I just use the numbers, and I use a concept and content that can drive the train. So I look at it from a media, I look at it from an entertainment, but my background, I'm from Michigan, and I'm a retired logistics from the military. So I took logistics and manufacturing into the multimedia. If that's making any sense to the audience.
Yes, yes.
And so now we have you, Big C, and this platform to what we've concrete done in the manufacturing, contract manufacturing, private label, through the executive orders, diversity, and how we put all these pieces together that makes sense at this point.
Yes.
And then we got the media, Big C, and what you're doing with the sports, and what we're doing with Tunica, bringing in potentially the service members that are transitioning from active military,
yes,
that have been classified in high level of sports. Where do we bring them at? We bring them to Tunica. We don't transition them from the military without positioning their strength and their purpose.
Exactly.
So we have Big C, media, entertainment, sports. We have the Department of Defense and Department of Veterans Affairs sports program, public-private partnership. We have a transitional place, a beautiful place with 2,000 acres of concrete facility right now ready to be deployed.
Yes.
We have the agriculture piece for sustainability. We have our international component for different types of nanotechnology ready to emerge on this location with what we're doing for the training. Now we're in conversation, Big C, with the Golden Gloves Association. They're going to make that their piece, their place, because we got 50,000 square foot facility that's ready for entertainment and conferences.
Wow.
We got 1,100 rooms right now ready to roll. We got 1,000 acres for agriculture. So, and we got a golf course ready to be manicured right now, Big C.
Yes. Well, I wanna just interject real quick, Kevin. Now, when I'm on the golf course, you said a magic word to me. When I'm on the golf course, I've been known to shoot at 66, okay? And to me, that's pretty good until someone explained to me that I still got 9 holes to go, okay? So...
you need some work. You got to find some mulligans somewhere, man. And your entire audience understand mulligans.
Yes, sir. Talking to the great Kevin Humes, decorated military veteran on Big C Sports Podcast. So when he says, when you hear 66 on the golf course, you're not embarrassed that I still got 9 holes to go. Your thoughts?
Yes.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
And we made a correction, man.
Yes, sir.
And quite frankly, that's what our economy needs right now. We need a correction.
Yes. Yes.
You know, this is fun and games, but how do we monetize?
Yeah. Speak.
Our movement. And we were blessed to have a connection with Mr. Edmund Steinberg.
Yes.
Who's a Coast Guard veteran who owns 4 mines in Sonora, in the Baja.
Yes.
Who owns 35 square miles. That he will commit to what we're doing, Big C, and media to make. And as I indicated, he's a Coast Guard veteran, so he understands his assets could be tremendous to what we need to do to empower our veterans to stop the suicide. Yes. To stop the homelessness and joblessness. But we're not pulling on the government. We're going to work with your government. We don't want to,
Yes.
This ain't Democrat. This ain't Republican. This ain't Buddha. This is how do we empower the veterans on the international level to make a difference. I didn't say Big C just USA.
Yes, worldwide.
This is global right now. It's global sports. You know, we got veterans serving right now in Stuttgart. We got veterans serving right now in Camp Casey, Korea, that have tremendous skills that could go pro.
Yes.
How do we capture that? How do we manage it? How do we put that in something that makes sense, you know?
Yeah.
That makes sense. Lennox Lewis told me, the champ,
yeah,
he visited what we're doing here in South Florida. He said, Kevin, if it makes sense, it can make the community sense.
Yes.
That could have been oxymoron to what he's saying, but understood.
Right.
We can't do anything in 2024 going into 2025 that don't make sense. Because it won't make you sense for the community.
Kevin,
Big C, we're excited. We're excited about your network, your platform, man. This is a good. It's a good. We got 103 million people with 1.2 trillion in purchasing power on this conversation right now, and it's big for us, and it's big for the sports community.
You know, Kevin,
how to empower our community, man. It's about the globe right now, you know.
Well, Kevin, I appreciate. Like I said, this is about God. I don't script my show. I don't wake up thinking what I'm going to do today. It just comes to my higher self, to my pineal gland, and I just want to thank you because we have people all over the world that follow Big C Sports, from the Olympics to all over to South America, Africa. We have, of course, the United States, Mexico, and Canada. But I wanna have the chance to say I'm gonna go into overtime with you, because it's like, you ever go to great grandma's house? You don't just eat one plate of food. Have you ever just eaten one plate of food, Kevin, at great grandma's house?
No, I'm eating two. I'm taking one.
She thought she had leftovers.
Ain't no leftovers.
That's so funny.
Big C. I'm married to grandma. I'm married to grandma. Oh my God.
Oh, Lord have mercy. You know, Mama can take...
Big C, without a shame for drugs, her name is Deshaun Hughes. You know? I live with Mama.
That is so funny, Kevin. Mamas can take a whole hour to make the deal, to make the meal taste good, and it's gone in like 5 minutes. Makes no sense, but it happens that way. I wanna get your... Go ahead.
Talk to me, Big C. Talk to me.
Kevin, I wanna ask you this, and number one, so appreciate you, the manner and the spirit of what you're speaking, because people all over the world, they have access to a thing called the internet. They can Google anything. So, but it has to be factual. Not everything you Google is factual. So you gotta fact check. I ask everyone that listens to Big C Sports, fact check everything I say. If you can't verify what I'm saying, don't believe me. So we trust and verify. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Let me satisfy your audience. Just Google Kevin Humes veterans.
Yes. Yeah.
Or Kevin Humes disabled community.
Yes. It's powerful.
That's my fact check.
Yeah, and I appreciate you coming on Big C Sports Podcast. We're going to do a lot of things together, things that we've been working on for the last year or more. We can't even get it all done in one conversation, but I do want to add this in the few minutes that we have. I do an announcement every show. It's called the Veterans Crisis Hotline, and their experience helping veterans and their loved ones get help. 800-273-8255. They can text 838-255, or they can go onto veteranscrisisline.net. It's more because my father's a veteran. I have grandparents that were veterans. I have a brother that's a veteran and a nephew a veteran. So we have the Air Force, the Army, and the Marines, and also the Navy. But I want to ask you your thoughts, because you're speaking from experience. You're not somebody that just read about it. How important is it to let people know that when they are going through some trauma, don't try to deal with it on your own. Call somebody. There's numbers and people to help you. Your thoughts?
Yes. You know, I think it's important to start when a service member enters into armed services, that they maintain responsibility of their medical records. A lot of things happen. What the problem that I've experienced is that service members, sometimes they don't take charge of their medical records.
Yeah.
Be responsible of your medical records.
Yes.
If you stump a toe from the beginning, and when it gets to the point where you need service after you transition, our job is to stop the hemorrhaging from the beginning. If that makes sense, Big C.
Yes, sir. It makes sense. Yes.
Educate. Everyone must be informed. Educated consumers, because it makes the country stronger. So if they miss that, Big C, and they're at a situation of crisis, utilizing the service and the numbers.
Yes.
But they don't respond that quick sometimes, because there's a lot of bureaucracy going on here, right?
Yeah. Yep. You're right.
And then if they require some of the service members to get online, they're in the streets. They can't get to a computer like that.
Yes.
Drugs and alcohol. Those of us that are positioned have to be responsible to leave nobody on the battlefield. And I'm not throwing any dots at Department of Disabled Veterans Affairs. We have to work a lot. We have to work a lot.
Yes.
We have to work a lot better.
Yes.
But when I was trained in the military, it was called METAL, Mission Central Task Listing. Army, Air Force, Navy, Marines work together. Then they had a situation called broken arrow. That means that the lines have been penetrated.
Yes.
Our community, our lines have been penetrated. We have to do better. Kennedy says not what you're looking for them to do, is what you can do.
Exactly.
And your platform and multimedia and getting people thinking out of the box. You know, we're in the process of putting in Tunica, a data center, electrical AI that can really empower right now veterans.
Wow.
That's connected to sports. That's connected to Kahala, which is 17 franchises for veteran potential.
Yes.
To connect it to sports and entertainment, and how we can begin to manage some of these young talents coming out of the military. And an existing building right now with 2,000 acres ready to go for us, Big C.
Wow.
So sports and entertainment, education, audience, you know, Big C got this. You know, Kevin Hughes from American Veterans Industry, we stand on it. Google my name, Google me in veterans, and Google me in disability. We stand on Big C and his audience, what we can do to bring our country back where we need to be at.
Well, I appreciate that, Kevin. In the last 2 minutes, we deal with veterans benefits, aid and attendance, pre-planning, avoiding the look back in California. I know that it's so important that we bring our country together through like mind, crosses all skin complexions, all faiths, religions, etc. And yes. What I love about the fact that you came under this platform, you mentioned Kathy Hughes, Lennox Lewis, and many people in between, from sea to shining sea, and from sports, entertainment, multimedia, housing. I'm a part of all of that, and I thank God for that. I look forward to breaking bread with you financially, spiritually, socially, and bringing projects together. Pen to paper is more important than just conversation. Documentation beats conversation. I love working with you and look forward to more pen to paper, as we know that documentation makes things happen more than just talking. But the fact that nothing happens without someone either leading, following, or getting out of the way. I want to be a leader and a vanguard in going forward with you. Your thoughts?
We support you 110% to the 10th power.
Well,
everything you're doing.
That means a lot to me. I want to just say, we'll close out with this. I want to say, Kevin, is there anything that you want to say in the final minute that people can follow what you're doing, what you're building up, whether it's military, sports, entertainment, housing, banking, lending, AI, whatever it is? What is your 30-second speech about how can they follow what you are doing, sir? Go right ahead, please.
I have one of our partners that was retired from Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan. that is so powerful and what he brings to the table. And I will forward that information to you so it can make sense out of making sense for us. Thank you for this platform. We did not have enough time to empower what we need to empower for God's kingdom, to move this to the next paradigm. Thank you. That's a little over 30 seconds, but my heart was there.
Wow.
Based on the conversation that we've had.
Wow. Well, we're gonna do this again. I know there's a lot of things happening in both of our lives that are so powerful. It only can be God's hand on it. It's not about our ego, how hard we work, or how smart we are. It's about God giving us favor. And I know what favor looks like. To God be the glory. And I want to just say thank you, the great Kevin Humes, decorated military veteran, joining Big C Sports. Now, you know, I'm going to go back to something we probably both got in trouble over growing up as little boys. Why do grandparents and parents, why is it so important that when little boys are coming in from outside playing, why do they always say wash your hands before you get in the kitchen? Why do they always do that kind of us?
Because it's dirty outside there. And Big Shit, it's kind of funny you said that because, in my backyard when I go outside, I think my wife listens to me to turn the faucet on to wash my hands.
Yeah. Kids don't need soap.
No, Big Shit, a good plug into what's going on with COVID.
Yes.
Cognitive COVID.
Yeah.
Really staying cognitive of washing your hands and making sure that your chlorine environment is in place.
Yes.
I think that's a tie-in to Big Mama. Big C 3.0. Coolness is next to godliness. So Big C, now I love you, man.
Appreciate you.
And whatever American Veterans Industries, Nationwide Staffing, and all of my associate partners, the Veterans Services Table, Veterans Foundation, we got your support. Because you open up a meeting and we're going to give you everything that we got to support this conversation, to support your platform, to support our community, and most important, to support our veterans.
Well, Kevin, enough said. God bless you and everything you're doing.
God bless you.
I'll see you down the road talking to the great Kevin Humes, a decorated military veteran on Big C Sports Podcast. I take what's called the Big C Pause, and I'll be back in just a moment. Thank you, Kevin. Have a super fantastic day. Thank
God
you.
God bless you, brother.
God bless you, brother. Love you too.
Yep.
All right, we are back from the Big C Pause, also known as the Big C Timeout. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on 29 podcast applications all over the universe and streaming on 4 TV platforms. We really do appreciate that. Talking to the great Kevin Humes. So many things to say, not as much time to say it. A lot like eating great grandma's collard greens. There's always more next time, if that makes sense to you. I do want to say with Big C Sports Podcast, I know we have the Olympics, but I also love the fact that I brought you what we do with the RDC and the Big C team, bringing long-term care entitlements to people all over this country, the great United States of America, by the book, if that makes sense to you. I do want to spend just a little bit of time doing what I love doing. I know the Olympics are happening in Paris, France, and some of the competition. I love USA basketball. What I love saying is, do you believe in miracles? The great Al Michaels called that when the USA hockey team did its thing back in the day. So the world's greatest athletes compete for both individual glory and national pride in the 2024 Paris Olympics. I love bringing that to you. Spectators at home will also wonder which country will have the honor of raking in the most medals. All's fair and level, but right now, I love championing the USA with 4 gold, 11 silver, 11 bronze, and 26 total medals. France has 5 gold, 9 silvers, 4 bronze, and 18 total medals. And China has 6 gold, 6 silver. And then, obviously, I still want to say the United States is leading the pack, but France has 4 bronze medals, 18 total. So that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. No matter what you say, I want to make sure that I keep what they call broadcast integrity. I love paying homage to the California Veterans Hotline, and I did that with a veteran on the program. That's important to me with Big C Sports Podcast. It's not something that people can talk about and do it unless they have the heart to do it. I do it every show. Been doing it 5 years now, and I love doing that. But I also want to take the time to pay homage to what's near and dear to my heart, like Kevin Hughes talked about. I got the California Reparations Task Force because a mind is a terrible thing to waste. I'm going to do it the way I do it with Big C Sports Podcast. Now, some people say, Big C, you talk too fast. I say too fast. And then some people say, Big C, you talk too slow. I say too slow. But I learned you can't say the right thing to the wrong person, and you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. But what I want to do is I want to tell you, I pay homage to the California Reparations Task Force because a mind is a terrible thing to waste. I want to give praise to the inimitable Dr. Shirley Weber, the Secretary of the State of California. I want to give praise to the California Governor, Gavin Newsom. They mandated a task force. I want to give praise to our attorney, Camila Moore. She's the chair of the Reparations Task Force. You know, she photobombed some of my pictures at the Reparations Task Force hearing. I hope you photobombed Big C Sports Podcast as well. I love giving her praise. I want to give praise to Dr. Amos C. Brown. He's the vice chair. I love giving him praise. He's also been on the Big C Sports Podcast. I want to give praise to California Senator Stephen Bradford. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. I also met him many times in his office and also at Reparations Task Force. In fact, a lot like what I say Moses, when God said to Moses in Exodus, go down into Egypt and tell Pharaoh to let my people go. And then Moses said, who do I tell him sent me? And God said, tell him I am sent you. And he went down into Egypt and did his thing. It's a lot like Senator Bradford. When God told Senator Bradford, he said, go down into the state capitol in the Senate and the legislators and tell them to pass reparations. And Senator Bradford said to God, like Moses asked God, he said, well, who do I tell him sent me? And God said, tell him I am sent you. And that's what he did. And now he's on the precipice of having things passed in California. Senate Bill 1331, 1403, and 1050. And it's a push going on around the country, and I believe it's going to be part of the Democratic National Convention and also the election coming up. 98 days from the election, and we have people from sea to shining sea that are standing behind this cause of reparations. Google the JUST Act, the JUST Act, and see what the United States Department of Justice did with the government of Germany to make sure we get reparations for descendants of the Holocaust. We need the same thing for descendants of chattel slavery African Americans. I want to give praise to Senator Bradford for championing that cause. I want to give praise to Council Member Monica Montgomery Stepp. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I want to give praise to Assembly Member Reginald Jones Sawyer. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. I want to give praise to Dr. Shell Grills. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I want to give praise to her attorney Lisa Holder. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. She specializes in diversity, equity, and inclusion that has been under attack. I love giving her praise. I want to give praise to Dr. Javon Scott Lewis, professor at California Berkeley. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. I want to give praise to our attorney, Donald K. Tamaki. He's brilliant, part of the California Reparations Task Force. Give him all praise. I say give him all praise, praise, praise. As a Japanese American, he received reparations. His family did for the internment camps they had in California. Well, that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. You know, before I close out every show on Big C Sports Podcast, I want to take the time to have you listen to one of the greatest voices in the history that says, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for justice. Because the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. I want you to listen to the words of the great Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Martin Luther King, we had a conversation a couple days ago about handouts and how these right-wing memes, these Republican memes, have infiltrated the Democratic debate to suggest that, you know, ending welfare as we know it, to all those kind of things are somehow, great and noble things, when we're not dealing with the underlying problem, which is that there's no economic opportunity there because of insane trade policies and because of Reaganomics. And Martin Luther King spoke to this. Jim and Shane, this is clip number 4. Martin Luther King spoke to this sometime back in the early 60s. And I thought this was a really interesting quote. Here he is.
The problem. At the very same time that America refused to to give the Negro any land. Through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. Not only that, they provided county agents to further their expertise in farming. Not only that, they provided low interest rates in order that they could mechanize their farms. Not only that, today many of these people are receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies not to farm, and they are the very people telling the black man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps. And this is what we are faced with, and this is the reality. Now, when we come to Washington, in this campaign, we are coming to get our check.
His speech, The Two Nations of Black America, and it's absolutely brilliant. And the next time some white person talks about, well, I pulled myself up by my bootstraps and my family did too, especially the Bundy boys. I mean, here's Martin Luther King, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. talking about how basically whites stole the West from the Indians with the complete, and didn't just steal it. I mean, murdered them he murdered the Indians in the process, and did not give any of these benefits to African Americans for 100 years in this country. It's a strong case for reparations or some variation on it, for rebuilding our cities, for doing right after having done wrong for so many centuries. It is a very, very strong case for that.
Reparations now, reparations forever. Well, that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. For those who say you love the late Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., do you really love? If you love and support reparations, it's the right thing to do. It's the just act thing to do. Well, that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I want to thank the great decorated military veteran Kevin Humes for being on the Big City Sports Podcast. I want to thank the California Reparations Task Force for also allowing me to speak their praise on the Big City Sports Podcast. And I want to thank USA. Do you believe in miracles? Yes, I do. That's my story, and I'm taking it. Thanks for listening to the Big City Sports Podcast. As I always tell you on every Big City Sports Podcast, if you're going to drink, don't drive. If you're going to drive, don't drink, because mothers against drunk drivers are mad, and fathers against drunk drivers are mad. It's the easiest thing not to do. You can walk it off, you can sleep it off, but don't let someone you love get behind the wheel of the car and start driving after they've been drinking. The life you save may be your own, or someone that you love, or someone that loves you, or someone that someone else loves. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. As I always tell you, there's never ever an excuse for racism or domestic violence. No man, woman, or child should ever have to go through that crap on their own. You need more leader in your life. Leader is an acronym for love is the answer. If somebody's hitting you, I only hit you because it made me mad. Call 911. If somebody's choking you, I only choked you because it made me mad. Call 911. If somebody's kicking you, I only kicked you because it made me mad. Pick up the phone and call 911. No man, woman, or child should ever have to go through that crap on their own. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. No one should ever have to put up with that crap. If somebody loves you, they don't hurt you, they don't kick you, they don't beat you. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. I love paying homage to my beautiful family legacy. My great-grandparents on my mother's side, my great-grandparents, Mama and Pop, they were wonderful, loving people. And Pop was actually played Negro League baseball and also served this country as a veteran. And then my great-grandmother, Mama, made some of the best collard greens in the history of the universe. Love them with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. And then my beautiful grandparents, Muddy and Hezekiah, they were seers. They can oftentimes look at a person and tell you a lot about their past, their present, and their future. Love them with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. Then I can always depend on my mama, the most beautiful mama in the history of the universe. Always saying rise and shine. The best person I ever met in my life. In fact, Mama collard green was so good, she'd be cooking those collard greens and be coming in out of the yard from playing and put our hands in that pot. She said, boy, go wash your hands. I said, Mama, I don't need clean hands. I want to eat with my fingers. She said, go wash your hands and get a plate. I said, Mama, but I want to eat out of my hands. And not only that, when she cooked that meat on the barbecue grill, she said, boy, do not grab those ribs off that grill. You got to burn your fingers. I said, Mama, I don't need a plate. I'm hungry now. She said, go get a plate, baby. You can eat like a civilized person. I said, Mama, I'm not civilized right now. I'm hungry now. I got to eat now. But then I grabbed the meat off the grill and burned my fingers. Always listen to your mama, if that makes sense to you. I love my mama with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. And then on my father's side, my mama's the best person I ever met in my life. That's a fact. Mama, you hear my prayers. You know my prayers, and I thank you for listening. At the same time, on my daddy's side, I want to thank my grandparents, Albert and Alberta Curry. They were pastors. They had 3 churches. They owned 2 gas stations in Oakland. I was 8 years old, walking through the hallway about 10 o'clock at night. I felt someone touch me in my forehead. She said, what are you doing, young man? Going to get some cookies? I said, what are you doing, Grandma? It's 10 o'clock at night. You normally go to bed at 8:30. She said, what are you doing, young man? Going to get some cookies? I said, cookies and baby crap. What I'm doing, Grandma, I'm going to get my reparations. I want the Just Act for my reparations, Grandma. And she said, there's something about your voice. I love hearing you speak. And now I'm speaking to decorated military veterans, if that makes sense to you. Love my grandparents with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. And then my beautiful father, former United States Air Force fighter pilot, chief mechanic, always saying, develop your mind to its highest extent. I love my dad with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. Then my beautiful brother Todd, with that bombastic voice, sound like thunder and lightning when Todd would speak. Always saying, go forward. He said, go forward. Don't look back because you don't have much backside anyway. He said my backside was small. I said, Todd, I love my backside. All those squats I've been doing make my backside smaller. But we also had a great love of movies. We loved Malcolm X. But one of our favorite movies, ironically, was Pulp Fiction. And we had that scene where Ben Rames was talking to Bruce Willis, and also Sam Jackson and John Travolta were in that movie. It's the boxing match that a lot of Olympians will understand what I'm going to say. He said, take this money and take your butt and listen to what I'm going to tell you. He said, your butt goes down in the 5th round. Say that, flip. And Bruce Willis said, okay, my butt goes down in the 5th round. And he told him what a lot of Olympians hear. He said, that stinging sensation you feeling, well, that's just pride blubbing with you. And he said, that's so cold, I still think about it to this day. He said, blood pride. He said, pride only hurts, it never helps. He said, you're going to thank Uncle Marcellus Wallace when you chillin' in the Caribbean. He said, boxing's filled with a lot of unrealistic muddly bluckers who think that butt gets better with time like fine wine, but it don't. In terms of vinegar, did it do? He said, take this money and go enjoy your life. We know that Bruce Willis didn't take the dive and he lost his LA privileges. Todd, I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. And then my beautiful daughter, Daisy, the most beautiful daughter in the history of the universe. College graduate, 2 degrees with honors in 3.5 years from a major university. Daisy, you can be anything you want to be. Always trust God, Isaiah 54:17, that no weapon formed against you will prosper. Daisy, she said in the very first interview for Big C Sports Podcast, it became the first time in the history of the United States that NFL Monday Night Football started broadcasting live on the Wall Street Business Network. Because of 2 black men in the crew, they had never done that before. They would normally go to ESPN, but they called us the Dream Team, and I really do appreciate that. Daisy, you can be anything you want to be. Always trust God. I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. And then my beautiful, handsome son, Malcolm, the most handsome son in the history of the universe. College graduate, very smart, erudite, a good man. Malcolm, you can be anything you want to be. Always trust God. Isaiah 54:17, that no weapon formed against you will prosper. You can be anything you want. I'm so proud of you. Malcolm helped me save trees. I used to always get the newspaper to look up stats for Big C Sports Podcast. And one day Malcolm said, Dad, why don't you just Google it? And a light bulb went off. I've been Googling ever since, 929 podcast platforms. And then one day Malcolm said, Dad, do you want to see Big C Sports on TV? I said, sure. He said, pick up the remote, aim it at the TV, and say, play Big C Sports. You see your show come up. Well, that's before it was even on the air. And now it's streaming on 4 TV platforms: Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon and Fire TV. Malcolm, you can be anything you want to be. I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. And then Big C, with all that wealth of knowledge over the years. Like my great-grandparents coming out of that barn with their church buddies always saying, you got to believe, you got to believe, you got to believe. Say, let's get ready to rumble. I love saying welcome to the show. SB nominated Big C Sports Podcast. I have no scripts, as you can see with the great Kevin Humes as a guest today. I have no 3-bit teleprompters. I have no producer in my ear. All I have is this gland in the brain. It's called the pineal gland. The ancients called it the third eye. They say that's how you talk to God, and that's why I scream so loud so God can hear me. If that makes sense to you. God, you hear my praise. I give you praise, praise, praise. God, give me my hopes and my dreams. You know what I mean, and I thank you in advance. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. Well, as I always tell you, there's a man back in the day known by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He's known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, you float like a butterfly and you sting like a bee. Rumble, young man, rumble. He said, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Ali said, I'm so pretty, I can't possibly be beat. And every time I listen to Big C Sports, I want a champion. Reparations now, reparations forever. And then I float like a butterfly and I sting like a bee. I always honor President Abraham Lincoln and President Dr. King on my show. What do they say? Reparations at last? Reparations at last. Thank God Almighty. Reparations at last. Say it 2 more times like you got the Olympics. Reparations at last. Reparations at last. Thank God Almighty. Reparations at last. Say it with all your heart, mind, body, and soul. Reparations at last. Reparations at last. Thank God Almighty. Reparations at last. I thank you. I appreciate you. And I hope that you have a super fantastic day.